Hey everybody, Dave here. Happy Monday. Long day, but here we are. 6 o'clock East Coast time. Time to hang out with me and play with some toy trains. Woohoo! How's everybody's Monday going? How was your weekend? Did you do anything exciting and fun? I just worked on my house, which is, housework's never too enjoyable. But anyways, here we are with another episode of Demos with Dave. I believe this is episode 19 of the series, which dates back to 2020. Kind of started doing the show back then, kind of because of the whole pandemic thing, not being able to go to shows in person and things like that. So this was one of the ways that we could reach out to the customer base, you guys, and let you know what's going on, keep engaged, and show you the new coming up product. So I'm just going to keep on doing that because it's fun and everybody seems to enjoy it and seeing the sneak previews of the products we have in the pipeline. So anyways, let's get talking about what I have to show tonight. Only 3 products that are from the latest catalog, or the 2022 big book, that is. These are all engineering prototypes. As we work on these, we develop the speed tuning and tune the engines as well as the audio. Put trains on the track, put the audio in them, and actually test them to make sure they sound right and run right. So these are always engineering prototype samples I show. That's why they're gray or flat black and not actually painted or anything like that. So this more is a demonstration to show you the technical features as well as the audio, and never really a demonstration on the actual deco unless I say, we have a piece magically that has deco on it or something like that. So anyways, enough of me rambling on about nothing. The first train I want to show tonight is actually a Lion Chief Plus 2.0 locomotive. This train was in the latest catalog, the 2022 big book. The LC Plus 2.0 line is great for those who love the semi-scale, more traditional looking Lionel engines and don't necessarily have giant layouts for scale equipment, but still want higher end features in the audio set as well as the controls. So with LC Plus 2.0, you get the Bluetooth, but you also get TMCC controls. You can run them with your Cab 1, Cab 1L, Cab 2 in TMCC mode, as well as our Lion Chief app and the upcoming Cab 3 app as well. So let me go ahead and add the choo-choo camera to the stream, and you can see what this LC Plus 2.0 engine looks like. Let me get it started. Ooh, that's kind of a fisheye lens view, isn't it? One thing I've been impressed with so far with testing this engine is the smoke output. It is really good. I mean, our LC Plus 2.0 engines, they actually use our SGSU, which is the S-gauge smoke unit. So it's the higher end smoke unit that we put in legacy American Flyer engines. And so its smaller size really is a perfect fit for the LC Plus 2.0 line, where the engines are not scale, so they don't always have as much internal space available to them to put in like a legacy, full-on legacy O-gauge smoke unit, but the S-gauge version does fit well. So let me pull this guy in, and you can probably already see it smoking back there and creaking and whining and everything else that I also do. And I know you guys will have questions. I'm going to answer those later on in the episode, okay? All right, so here's the LC Plus 2.0 GP20. This one actually, we reused a shell just for the engineering prototype. So this is a New York Central livery, but I believe there were 4 different road names offered in the catalog. Don't quote me on that, just check. But you can see the smoke output is pretty good. It does come out of both of these ports. Both ports share the single smoke unit, so when you add fluid, you can add it to either of the two ports, and it goes into the same smoke fluid reservoir. And let me turn that smoke off so that I can breathe. And also, I'm going to move the camera around the engine just to show you some of the features. So this guy in the back, it will have lit marker lights, as well as the lit number boards and a backup light. And in the front of the engine, you do have the high headlight up there, the cab light as well. So quite a bit of lights, but not, over the top with lighting like modern diesels would be, because, these older engines really just did not have as many lights as modern diesels have. So, but also you have front and rear electrocouplers. Pretty standard nowadays, especially in our diesels. There are two figures inside the cab, and it is an all die-cast truck, die-cast fuel tank. It's a metal frame and then an ABS shell. So a pretty high quality, but also very durable engine. These line of engines are really good for the younger guys, younger kids. They don't have nearly as many of the high-end fragile details as legacy engines have. So, if these guys take a tumble over or something like that, it's not really going to destroy them up like if you were to drop your Vision Line 210-10-2, that would be just trashed. So these are good engines in terms of being robust and able to take a bit of a beating. So let's do some of the audio demonstration. Being an LC Plus 2.0 engine, this engine does have one horn at 5 different pitch levels, as well as one bell at 5 different pitch levels. Those can be changed, as always, with the aux1 key on a cab remote or the pitch sliders in the Lion Chief app. I love that horn. And then obviously with the bell too. Now, being an LC Plus 2.0 or a TMCC engine, this just has bell on and off. There's no single hit. So when you press the bell slider up, it'll turn it on, and then press it up again to turn it off. And then while it's playing, you can press aux1 to channel through the different pitch levels. And then you got your crew talk, which is standard.
Power, station work complete and ready to head east. Can I pull? Over. Please hold at your location. Out.
And the engineer character in this is one that we recorded new last year. We actually have, in the past couple of years, recorded many new characters with different voice actors, a lot of which are here at Lionel. So many voices you hear on newer engines coming out of Lionel are from actual Lionel staff and not, just professional voice actors. So one nice thing that we're able to do, that way we change up the voices in the train so you're not hearing the same characters over and over again with every release. Something that I definitely appreciate. Dave, you just commented waiting for your C-liner. That's actually the next engine I'm going to show after this. So give me 2 minutes. But yep, these are great engines. The other thing I want to talk about with LC Plus 2.0 engines is the ability to do lash ups. Now, these are TMCC engines, so you can do lash ups with these with other legacy engines and other LC Plus 2.0 engines. But the train has to be built in as TMCC and not legacy. LC Plus 2.0 engines will not respond to legacy commands. So when you have this engine and you're running it with the Cab 2 remote, for instance, you do have to make sure that the engine is programmed as a TMCC engine. And like I said, that's the same for when you're building a train. So if you want to lash this up with a legacy engine, that legacy engine has to be entered in as a TMCC engine. But yes, lash ups are possible. When it comes to lashing up with the Lion Chief app, that's simply not possible. The Lion Chief app simply does one engine at a time. But with the Cab 3 app coming out, you will be able to do lash ups with the Cab 3 app, using the train builder that app will have. And that will be able to happen through the base 3, or if you have an existing base 2 and an LCS Wi-Fi module. So those are all different ways that you can operate and enjoy these locomotives. These guys, we're currently doing the last bit of tooling adjustments on these, and then these will probably ship closer to fourth quarter of this year. Anytime we have projects that have mild tooling changes, it does push it back in the schedule a little bit, as it does take time to make those tooling changes. So I'm going to move that out so we can welcome the next sample in. Now, this next sample I've been pretty excited about, and it was actually featured in our 2021 Volume 2 catalog last year. It is a new-to-us locomotive, part of a tooling acquisition that we had, and it has been an ongoing process, and actually a very enjoyable process in getting this engine changed over. The tooling changed, and the electronics changed over to bring it up to legacy specs. But yes, this is the Legacy C-Liner. And for those who don't know, this is a previous MTH engine, and was in one of the engines and part of the package of tooling that we bought from them. This is actually the first legacy engine that we will be releasing from that tool acquisition. The first engine we actually produced out of that acquisition was the Genesis. I believe those are shipping soon, the first batch anyways. But that was an LC Plus 2.0 engine, so similar technology to the GP20 I just showed you. Whereas this is actually going to be the first release of a legacy engine out of that acquisition. Now, this is, again, a prototype or an EP sample. EP, for those who don't know, stand for engineering prototype. So it's, we found an old pilot to stick on the front, a newly shot body that hasn't been painted. You can all see all the brass detailing. Different color trucks. If the black one was painted, was taken from another sample, and the rear truck is in, just metal gray because it was never painted as well. So just so you know that's why it looks like this. And the paint and the liveries will be very nice. Look at that Volume 2 catalog from last year to understand what different road names and road numbers that we're offering, and we'll be shipping this guy in. So, like I did with the last engine, let me move the camera, the train camera around the engine just so I can show you different features. One unique thing about this engine that I find, at first I found it a little ugly, to be honest, but now I find it to be kind of charming for this little guy. But this one has a 4-wheel truck up front and a 6-wheel truck out back. So it just, it looks like a big E unit back here and a little scrunched F unit up front. It's kind of funny, but that's how they were in real life. There were also C-liners that had 4-wheel trucks both on the front and the rear, and we do have the ability to produce those too in the future, as Ryan chooses to do so. So look forward to seeing some of that come out. I keep bumping the knob on the handle. Stop. Just stay. My hand keeps bumping. So yeah, I think that's a pretty unique feature about this engine. Kind of something that really your eye draws right to. But the model's great. In the front, there is a working headlight if I put it back and forward, as well as lit number boards. There's no lettering or numbering there right now because it's just an EP sample. But there's also marker lights, and we chose to make those green on this engine because that's what the real ones, a lot of the pictures or reference photos we found of the real ones had green marker lights there. And those only come on when the engine's in reverse. And then it might be tough to see on camera because of the glare. But there are cab figures as well as a cab interior that even has molded in detail of gauges and things like that. So it's a really nicely detailed cab. The guy's got electric couplers front and rear, just like most of our diesels do. And one thing about this being a EP or an engineering prototype is that you do get to see the details because they're unpainted. So you even have things like these side mirrors or deflectors, the horn, all these grates and meshing, they're all brass, right? A lot of it's etched brass, some of it's cast brass. But even in diesels, which are, typically not as elaborate as a steam engine, you still do see a lot of separately applied details. As well as something that matches some of our other engines like SD70 Aces and stuff. This actually does have opening and closing little like door details. So the front door here does open and close. The side doors do as well. You'll have to excuse my giant man hands because earlier I broke this one off, so that's why it's missing. So it's got it on the other side, but you get the point, right? It's just like this door. Going to the back of the engine, there are no lights back here since it is more of a traditional streamlined body diesel. So, like F units, E units, for the most part, would not actually have lights back here. But what is unique to this engine and what it does have is the switch location. So the locations of your control switches are actually behind the diaphragm here. And this guy hinges down and is held up by a magnet like that. Pretty neat and very easily accessible. So the program run switch, and you got the Bluetooth on-off switch, and then at the bottom you have the smoke on-off switch. Nice, easy location to reach those. They're not underneath the engine, so you don't got to pick it up off the track. They're also not at the top of the engine under a hatch, so you get more smooth body lines without seeing any gaps or anything like that. So one of the features I really like about this engine is the location of those switches. And obviously, lastly, you got a electric coupler there as well. On a lot of our F units, E units, things like that, we usually put dummy couplers in the rear. But since we sold these C-liners as standalone units, we put electric couplers both on the front and rear. So we actually just got this sample last week. The sample was for us to approve the tooling modifications for the factory. Losing my light here. Here we go. Got the sensor. So we'll be able to move forward with the tooling modifications to adjust this guy to legacy standards. The gearboxes changed to being back drivable, all the legacy electronics inside. And one great thing about legacy electronics, you have this 200 speed steps with the speed control and all that fun stuff. So really, I'm excited to see these. They will ship later in this year again because of the tooling changes we're making. But I think people are going to be pretty excited about them. They're going to be really nice engines. But let me turn the volume back up on it and we can run through the sounds. Now, similar to the LC Plus 2.0 locomotive, this engine does have 5 horns, but instead of having one horn with 5 different pitch levels, we're actually in legacy engines able to put 5 different horns all together. Sometimes the audio engineer will choose to use one horn and then throw in a couple pitch variations of that, and then 2 other horns all together, which is the instance in this case. And sometimes we'll just do 5 horns all together. It's whatever we feel like that day. So it's kind of just something neat that we get to do with having different horns that really give you, the user, more flexibility in choosing one that you like, one that fits and is more appropriate to your railroad. So again, droning on. So let me go ahead and run through the different horns this guy has. And Being a legacy engine, these are all quillable horns. I like that one. So pretty neat. Now these engines do have, are legacy controlled, so you can be operated from a Cab 1, Cab 1L, Cab 2, and as well as the upcoming Cab 3 app if you're getting the base 3. But these also do have legacy on board, so they can be run directly from the Lion Chief app on your Android or your iOS smart device, as well as the orange universal remote that we do sell separately as well. Those are Bluetooth equipped, so they will run the basic features of anything equipped with Bluetooth engine, Bluetooth features such as the C-liner here. I'm going to run through the bell as well. And this does have single hit bell because it's a legacy engine, but it also has latching bell. And this will be one bell with 5 different pitch levels, just like the Jeep20. Really gives you, again, the option to choose whatever bell you like. Suits your earbuds the best. So. These do have crew talk as well.
Dispatcher, am I clear to the outbound? Over. Hold for signal indication. Dispatcher out.
And remember, on our newer engines we've done the past couple of years, we've also changed up the 7-key and added what we like to call railroad sounds in there. So they're different, more randomized dialogues that usually resemble realistic radio chatter, especially on diesel engines. Steamers, we kind of tend to throw in more maintenance-related dialogue or scenes. So it just allows us to bring a bit more reality to the dialogue that our engines have.
Gina. Clear by bound and car length. Right, Patty?
A lot of these we actually developed by listening to real scanners and real radio dialogue. So a lot of them are pretty close to what you'd hear in actuality.
Finally, a highball. Let's get her rolling.
And some of them are still fun.
What are your orders? It says hold here for 2 east and then take the main to the next interline. Hold the main and we'll hoop orders past the tower.
This engine does have smoke. This has a standard legacy smoke unit, so an OGSU, O-gauge smoke unit. And it does smoke pretty well, just like all of our other legacy diesel engines. So yeah, really good engine. Really excited for this one. And again, probably shipping later this year. So hope you're all as excited for that one as I am. Just nice to see something new to us come into the line and get a new breath of air put into it and something that's different, So that's the last one. This last one is special to all of us. We thought it would be a funny project, and it's actually shaped up to be a really cool and interesting project that has a lot of play value. But this is the Vision Line horse car that we put in the 2022 Big Book. Now, I have these demonstrated, these sounds demonstrated just from this box car, this freight car. Obviously, the real baggage car is going to be an actual baggage car. I believe it's our 21-inch series of cars where the baggage car is actually 18 inches long, and then we did tooling changes on that car to make it look like an actual horse car that you would have seen on the railroads, as well as, change the trucks to 6-wheel trucks on both ends. So those are tooling changes, new tooling as well. So those are being made, but those are actually sooner in the production schedule. So those might end up shipping later in the summer this year. But regardless, where we are with the sound set for the Vision horse cars is we have all of the non-dialogue audio complete. So that's what I'm going to demonstrate tonight. What we have here is the quilling horse, the aux3 sounds, the background sounds, everything that you're going to hear in this car, dialogue aside. We now have a script for that dialogue. We just haven't recorded it yet. It's on our to-do list, but this is just something I wanted to do a sneak peek of. So I do have this programmed into the Legacy remote as a Freight Sounds car. That is the same way that you would program it for a Vision Line reefer, Vision Line stock car, other things like that. And so, if you look in the camera there, Freight Sounds. And really what that does is it gives you the different button options on the remote, for like loading, unloading, turning dialogue on and off, things like that. And all of those buttons will be available on the new Cab 3 app coming up as well. The Cab 3 app that we are working on really will mimic everything that the Cab 2 can do and more. So it's going to be an all-inclusive app that gives you control of anything Lionel that you can think of. So that will definitely be something that I demonstrate in a further episode down the line when it's more ready. But right now you get to see the cool trains. So anyways, let's stop talking and let's start let's start horsing around. Oh, it helps if I actually, there we go. I love that. So that's a funny one. So these cars did carry horses across the country, a lot of them, especially to races. So if you're going to see the Derby, going out to see the old race back in the day, and they would take all the horses around and load them up at their stable, and this will have sequences. So these sounds were employees. That's a good joke. That's a good joke. Yeah, we were horsing around one day and neighed. So, but you'll have intermediate stops with these as well. So, while the train is on the way to the racetrack, you'll make a stop so that the horses can get out, stretch their legs, eat something, and the crew will clean out the car from the droppings, and then load back up and head on down the rails to the racetrack, and the final unloading scene, and all the dialogue and the sounds will be specific for that. So I'm excited for that. So there's your quilling horse. And then if I push the dialogue buttons now, there's no dialogue, but you'll hear the background sounds. If I actually, again, today this remote is fighting me. There we go. Clip, clap, 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 clap. And then when the car's in motion, you get the freight sounds, the clickety clacks, and the bings and the bangs, and things like that. And this is where you would enter your intermediate stop. Get them out of the car and wash it on down and things like that. And then you get moving again after you load it up, and finally we're at the racetrack, right? And that's when you do your unloading. And you can hear the racetrack in the background. pretty neat. And then one special Easter egg. I guess it's not really an Easter egg if I'm telling you about it on the show, but for those with the Cab 2 remote as well as the Cab 3 app coming out, if you have the aux 3 key, you'll get the special sound effect. Charge. No, I mean that's an appropriate sound for this car. So this is going to be a very cool car, especially once we get the period-specific dialogue dialed in, recorded and cut for this application. And was reviewing the script with the audio engineer earlier today. Really reminds you of just how many dialogue lines there are in legacy cars. Vision line, baggage and vision line stock cars, vision line freight. Man, we've done a lot of vision line audio cars at this point. But they just keep getting better, and this is one of the ones that I was really looking forward to. And in the same catalog was the Vision Line stock car, like we did last year with the cows, which we had done before. But this year we decided to do the Vision Line piggy cars, so pigs in them. And that'll have the squealing pig in it, and that audio is done and fun. So I think I'm going to show that on the next episode, because that is just, it's hilarious, but it's also really cool. I mean, to be able to quill a pig, squeal a pig, I don't know how you want to, I'm going to stop there, but I think it's a safe bet to say that you should look forward to more Vision Line sound cards in the future and upcoming catalogs, because people just love, including myself, just love audio cars that have a lot of unique sounds as well as unique dialogue. So that's all I'm going to talk about for that guy. So let me remove that camera from the stream. All right. So not a terribly long episode, just the 3 samples I wanted to show tonight. On other episodes coming up, I actually am a little excited about what we're going to be doing in the next few months. My next episode might be on the road, actually. So if I do a special episode from a special location for a special reason, more info on that to come, but I'm excited for the things that we're going to be doing this year with all of our new product launches and all of our new developments that we just keep coming out with. It's nice to continue the new development in a industry that a lot of people are afraid doesn't do as much new development as it should. But we just keep pushing the boundaries of what can be done in model trains with the electronics and the mechanics. So definitely an exciting job, and we all love doing it every day. So now's a good time. We can get to some questions. Let me read on. All right, Pete on YouTube asked, will the Class A have a Southern accent? Yes. The Class A, given its Norfolk and Western heritage, will be engineered by Southern accented character. So that will have a special audio set. As you know, Vision Line engines do come with road name and road number specific dialogue, as well as some hidden specific locations that we like to put in the dialogue. So that'll be a fun one. I'm just scrolling up through the questions. DJ asked about the Strasbourg tender. That one, unfortunately, we weren't able to change, so that one's going to get the tender as shown in the catalog. Really a small tender, and that's just, unfortunately, it is what it is. Let's see what else we got here. Due date on the Strasbourg 90. The Strasbourg 90 was delayed slightly because of the tooling changes, the design changes we decided to make, increasing the size of the drivers. We added some more detailing on the tender, especially the front face of the tender, and a few other changes that kind of pushed the date back a little bit because of the tooling changes. And that was all new tooling for the frame. It is a brass engine, brass hybrid engine, but the frame, the gearbox, everything is die cast because it just it does give more reliability and better performance. But when we do have tooling changes like that, it does eat into the schedule a bit. But that engine is targeted to ship later this year. So that one definitely will be coming in this year. I just don't have a more specific date at this time. All right, let's see what other questions we got here. Doesn't look like much else. So if you guys are all good on questions, I'm going to call it a night. And I'll see you on the next episode, and more exciting stuff to come. But thank you all for tuning in and watching me and going about with these trains. It's fun, and I do appreciate you tuning in and hanging out with me every now and then. So talk later. Bye-bye.